I've told this story before. I think it's important for the new listeners who are hearing this conversation, for semi-first time, that a mate of mine, who was a flatmate when I was still living in Perth, this was back in, it was either 1999 or 2000, I introduced the concept of a depreciation schedule to him, and he's like, huh, what is that? And so we rolled out the conversation we've just had now. And he's gone, I've got two other properties that I have had they were in Kingscliff in northern New South Wales. And so at the time, you could go back, I think, 4 years, which has changed. You can tell us the update now. But so I said, hey, listen, by the way, not only that, you can actually go and amend your tax returns for the last 4 years as a result of the epiphany bomb and going back and amending he unlocked a refund that allowed him to buy another property on the Gold Coast, because at the time we were buying them for 110,000 or something like that. So it was.
Really old now.
Yeah, I do. You're the same vintage. So, but it's that powerful and that important. Can you give us an update how far we can go back?
So the 4 years, unfortunately, some years ago now, has changed to 2 years. But the thing I see is so many investors aren't doing it properly, and if they thought it was old and you couldn't do it, for example, and. Yeah. It's like, and I guess it's like if you don't pay your tax in this country, eventually the tax office will find you and make you pay it, right? This is just working the other direction. You just can't go back forever. You can only go back 2 years. But if you haven't been claiming your depreciation that you could have, or even if you haven't claimed as much as you could have, if you've been claiming $1,000 and it should have been $5,000, you can actually go back and amend and claim the difference for up to 2 tax returns. So depending on what part of the year you're in, like when you think about another tax return, don't do another one and miss out on another year.
So let me double click on that, because there are accountants out there who think that they can actually do these schedules, right, on behalf of their clients. And they think they're doing potentially the right thing. But you and I have had conversations about this. What you just said then is it still could be worthwhile with one phone call in talking to someone around the potential that you've missed out on 30%, 40% of the potential full deduction because you haven't used a quantity surveyor to get that work done?
Absolutely. So if there is something in your tax return, now, and we do this all the time,
yep.
Like we've got the calculators on the apps that you can go in and put a bit of information about your property, and it'll tell you what sort of deductions should be there. You can even get a little bit better than that and go, Brad, 27 Smith Street in wherever it is, what sort the calculator says it should be $3,000 to $5,000. Do you think that's
reasonable?
Reasonable, right? We'll have a look at the photos. It doesn't cost you anything. Have a look at the photos. Yeah, 3,000 to 5,000 good. Maybe even 6,000. And if you're only claiming 1,000 or 2,000, then maybe you should get a depreciation schedule and see if you can get the rest. And
yep.
we would always have a look at something and give you an idea of what sort of deduction is going to be there. And really the accountant, they're our friends. Most of our work comes from the accountant.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? But the thing the accountants will find as time has gone on when we keep doing this is that the risk is that the client comes to them and says, have you doing this properly for me? With one of those estimates. And we tell the accountants that when we have that. We offer to accountants to review anything. And look, if they hadn't done it as good as it could be done for whatever reason, then it's best to fess up and go, you know what, let's get it looked at. You know, as time goes on, you learn more things. Older property still gets deductions. They may have thought it wasn't there. And they know about depreciation. They know it's there, but sometimes they think the older property may not be worth it. But our job is to go and get what we can out of properties. We visit it, we look at it, we see what's there. If it's had some work done at some point that someone else has done in the past, there might be some deductions for that. So we go and find what we can find and get the most out of it.
And there are operators and there are operators.
Yeah, I was about to say, because there's two things that we should talk about here. Because one is...
I can get a cheap one online where they don't go and inspect the property, and that's when I'm robbing myself of cash flow.
Yeah, because you've got price disparity and you've got inspection disparity. Can you talk to those two?
Yeah, so in price disparity, a lot of that comes around because of an inspection. Obviously, not going... and ringing up the property manager and the tenant and organise a convenient time and coming through, can I take photos of all your house? That's not the fun part, right? Yeah. So if you don't go and do an inspection as a quantity surveyor, then obviously it's cheaper for you to do the job. My opinion, and we've done nearly a million of these things, is that you will not always get the best result. And our job is to get the best result, I believe. Now, for all of my time in this, just about, there's been someone that will do one online based on some photos they can see on Domain or realestate.com and hope they're the right ones. Since COVID, because it got really hard to inspect properties for a period of time there, lots of our industry went to doing it that way, a bit more. Yep. We held our jobs through that and said, we want to do them properly, and explain to the client that we think the best result comes when you visit it and find everything, and making sure you can stand, not just finding everything to maximise, but stand behind it. Tax office rings up about one of our reports. They go, here's the photos.
We went there.
Pulled up on this day for this long, and the GPS told me so. So I know he went there, or she.
And because those other photos, coming back to the 170 odd items, if I don't have the photo there, I can't see that item, and I can't claim that item. Yes. But if I've been out there,
do they protect their downside just by going conservative on the number then? So it's obviously a cheaper entry price, but they haven't. The net result is that if they could have got 6,000, they might come back with 3,900 or something.
Yeah, it might come back with 4,900. It's still not 6.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if you can't see it, then you can't put it on there on a depreciation schedule. When we go there with a guy, with a person who's been trained to do this job, to look for everything, we're looking for everything. And I am not convinced, even though now a lot of our industry since COVID, I don't know, through COVID suddenly you got enough data and you can do it, and then after COVID we keep doing it. We stood our ground and said we're going to inspect them. And look, the Institute of Quantity Surveyors believes you should inspect. There should be disclaimers all over it if you don't, etc. Now, when our industry does what it does, I think it's a false economy. Now, in saying that, can I get it pretty close by looking at the photos? Yes. But there'll be a certain percentage of the time, it'll be quite a bit, that I might miss something because it's not in the photo. And we can go and see this new renovated kitchen with these lovely bench tops and everything else that's been done around that. And the photo on realestate.com might show the kitchen, but it won't necessarily show all the work that's been done in the house, maybe by a previous owner. I want to make sure we get that every time.